Now, since we are already on the back, let's go ahead on the camera. This thing, like I said before, does have a single 12 megapixel sensor on the back, and you can only do 4K 30 frames per second on it. There's no telephoto, there's no ultra wide sensor, there's no micro lidar sensor, whatever. But I will tell you, for what this phone had at that time in 2017, early 2017 at that, I think it's totally okay. In the market, I think at that time, at least in my understanding, there wasn't really a ton of phones that had dual camera setups. We had the 7 Plus that came out a couple months before this. So for this phone only having single camera, I think is okay for the most part. It's not like a crazy big deal. However, I think with the S9 only having one camera setup, that's a bigger deal. But this one, totally understandable. But I will tell you, in this day and age, this is still a pretty decent camera setup. Like, this is not an ugly camera by any means. This camera still has some capability. And I will be honest, and I love saying this type of stuff, Samsung puts so many features in their camera setup that even with their last update of One UI that this thing got, there were more features in that camera setup than when it first came out, which is huge, and I love seeing that. We got more features, and even I would say this phone has more features in the camera than a lot of iPhones that came out this year too, or last year, and that's a pretty big thing. Obviously, I'd rather have an iPhone camera that came out last year than this one, but we still have a lot of cool features, and it gets even better because within the App Store, there's a lot of apps that you can go ahead and edit your photos up and all that good stuff. Even Instagram, TikTok, they allow you to edit a lot of your videos and photos and stuff. So the back camera of this thing is definitely a pretty decent camera in this day and age. However, the front camera, it's only an 8 megapixel sensor, so that definitely isn't a great camera, and even the megapixel count sways it a little bit, because in my opinion, it's really not that great. The front camera is probably my biggest problem with this type of device, but I still think it's totally okay for the time being, and even beyond that, if you're making TikToks and stuff, this phone is going to be perfectly fine, but if you're expecting to get like the best quality photos and videos, it may be better for you to, kind of look in a different direction, with like maybe like a S10 or, S10e like I stated on the low end, but still this camera I think is okay for the most part, and I'll probably rate it probably like it's 8 out of 10 for being a 2017 phone in my opinion, and that's a pretty good score. So in terms of the camera setup, that pretty much covers it up. Now